Can you confirm the sound for us? Do we have the sound? Okay. All right. Good day, all. I continue. Is the sound okay? It's okay. I can continue. So, today our lectures is going to be based on this documentation. Oh, you cannot see my screen? Okay, it's going to be based on this documentation. So the file will be shared with you on uh, on the Telegram group. I've done that already for us because writing HTML and CSS is very simple. Follow this command. I have done it already. I've done all the HTML, CSS, and attach it on this link, so we can be able to download it. But you can even make it more better. This is just roughly HTML, CSS for us to be able to set up our application and see the functionality of it. So, uh, like all of you knows, before we start the project, we need to set up our project folder where the application will be stored. So the aim of this project is for us to be able to collect student data. Last week we've done the basics. So today we are going to. I've shared my screen. So today we are going to make it more advanced. So without waste of much time, let's go to our desktop and create a project folder. Okay? So I want you to follow with me. Get your desktop and create a folder. Okay? So my folder name is going to be Resource Planner. Resource Planner. You can put anything. Resource Planner, okay? Okay, so the folder name is called Resource Planner. You can think of any folder name, you can give it any name, but I am going to put my project inside this folder called Resource Planner. So today I'm not going to waste my time using different IDEs. I am going to use, unless if you want us to use BS Code. BS Code? I enjoy PyCharm, seriously. For a long time, I've been using PyCharm, and sometimes when I see people using VS Code, I will say, why are you wasting your time? Use PyCharm. You understand? Because uh, not only the support and the intelligence, but I feel more at home. So, but like I've said, we are going to create the project using command prompt, okay? Hello? We use our terminal to create the project. After we have created the project, you can open it with any IDE. I believe that's the difficult part, creating the project, right? So let us all use command prompt or terminal on our computers to create this project. Then after the project is created, then we can go ahead and open it in any of our terminals that we are more comfortable with, okay? So open your terminals. Like I've said, we don't have much time to waste today. Great. So I'm going to CD to my desktop. Are we together? I'm going to CD to my desktop and get into that folder I've created, okay? So I am going to cd into desktop. Okay, cd into uh, resource planner. Resource planner. Okay, so I'm inside the folder. So we can we can now go back to our documentation and see what we are expected to do. So as you can see all, the first command is to create a project. And the project is going to be name, or we are going to call it ideas, okay? So Django-admin start project ideas. Are we together? Okay. Django-admin start projects ideas, okay? I have my project. You all know that we have to cd into the project, right? This is the command. We have to cd. Are we together? cd's idea. So cd. Okay, so I'm now inside the project folder. So the next things we are going to do is to create an application. Like you all know, in one project you can have thousands of applications developed under it. Are we good? So our application is student. Okay, is going to be called student. So Python manage.py start what? Start up students. Are we all going together? Python manage.py start. This is always this. That's we don't. So we already have a documentation for us to what? To be able to create our own virtual environment. Like I've said always, if you have your own working, you don't have to worry. But the best way, like I always said, is for you to have your virtual EMB inside. Are we together? So I'm going to create virtual EMB. Windows computer, this is the command. Already we have installed virtual EMB during our last lectures, but you can still try and install to make sure that you have it all on your system. Pip installs virtual EMB. Pip install virtual EMB, right? We all have virtual EMB installed, so it is not going to install, as you can see. Requirement already satisfied, right? So the next process is to create the virtual EMB, which is this command, virtual EMB, then the name of your. Love to have the conventional name, which is called EMB. Give it any name. It depends on what you want, okay? So I'm going to call it as virtual EMB. So virtual EMB is the command. MV is the name of my virtual environment, okay? Enter. Excellent. Virtual EMB created inside my project is source, the name of your EMB, then a folder inside the virtual EMB, followed by a command activate. I think we've done all this. Okay. Source, right? EMB bin activate. So I have my virtual EMB activated. So if you don't have this, it means your virtual environment has not been activated. You must see this in bracket, where it signifies that, guy, oh, hello, you have activated your virtual EMB, right? Are we together? Excellent. So the next part is to go back to either start the application, but you can't start the application without having Python installed on the virtual EMB, right? Hello? We need to what? We need to install the Python, the Django framework inside our virtual EMB for us to be able to what? To create a Django application, right? So let's go back and install Python. Django. Pip install Django. Now this is very important. Listen, sometimes if you are developing a project, you may have something called a legacy system. Maybe you are asked to develop an application in Django, but maybe the company already have a Django application. They just want you to create another and attach it to their own. So it is always better to ask the Python, the version of Python, as well as the version of Django that their existing application is developed with. Because if you develop it with a different version, they are going to have what? Version issue. And whenever you have a version issue, that's a very, very, very big problem that you have to keep on debugging, wasting a lot of time for you to be able to find out what is the main issue. Are we all together? Excellent. So Django is installing. Good. Install. The next part is to create an application. The next on our documentation is to what? Create a Django application. Aho? Are you following? Okay, so it means you have to run this command. Like I've said, you can create thousands of the applications. But we are going to start with student. After we have done student, today your assignment is to add 2 more applications on your own to attach it to the existing project. So pay attention. If you do this very well, you can add thousands of applications in one project. Okay, so we have to run the command Python, right? Manage.py start app. So after the next process in line is to type in your application. Yes. All of you are lost? Only you. So, okay, what's the problem? No, no, no. I'm not repeating. I'm doing the same things, okay? This is the process of how you can create the project. But one thing that you may say is this: we have to take down this, that this should come first, right? After you enter the project, you install the virtual EMB, then you do this one, that's installing Django and then creating the Django application. But the process is straightforward. There's no ambiguity. Unless if you want me to, reduce my speed. So first, you create a project. After creating project, you CD into the project as shown in the documentation. And after that, you install virtual EMB if you don't have it on your computer. Then after that, you have to create. And then you create what? Virtual EMB. After that, the next step is to what? To activate the virtual EMB. Then after activating the virtual EMB, the next in line is right? After Django has been installed, the next part in line is to what? To create an application. Are we together? Mm. If you have Django, unless you install Django as a global package, like I said, my own methodology is you should always create a project folder. That's what I keep on saying. Always create your project folder and do your project insights. Like I've said, creating a global package is not a good practice. The best practice is to create or to install any package within your project folder. Are we together? That's the best approach. But if you always leverage on the existing package that has been installed globally on your computer, sometimes you're going to have a problem. This is a problem. If you want to host the application on the cloud and you have one global EMB, or you have a global folder that you keep all your packages, at the end of the day, you will have a folder that will be around 5-6 gig. And you have to run a command that will take all those packages and put it on the cloud storage, which is a problem. Instead of you installing maybe 10 packages, you end up installing 150 or more than that packages. So that is why it's good to create your virtual EMV inside your project folder so that it only takes those packages. It inside the project folder. Like now we only install one package, two. Number one, virtual EMB. Number two, what? Django. So, but if it's a global EMB, maybe you have done project before, you have a lot of packages. You have to add it up and then host it on the cloud. I hope you understand the tactics here. So the techniques, if you should always have a virtual EMB within your project folder. Are we together? So should I continue? Hello? Should we continue? Okay, excellent. So project, a virtual EMB. We have activated the virtual EMB. We have installed Django. Now the next process in line is to start. So we are creating an application called Student, right? No, we created a project. What we did was project. What we did was a project. I copied the command. Yeah, exactly. So I copied the command of creating application, not following the streamline guideline, because the guideline says you have to create what? Virtual EMB and activate it before you can create an application. Look at this. I believe all of you should have access to this file. Have you shared with them? So check the Telegram group. When you check the Telegram group, this is the process that you follow for you to be able to create this project. Start project, CD into the project, install virtual EMB. If you don't have it, if you have it, the next is to what? To create what? A virtual EMB. After that, activate that we are right now, which is installing Django and then creating an application called Student. Are we all clear? Should we continue? The first is project. So this is what I will do. Now look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete that folder and start from scratch quickly. That Django admin. Excellent. So if you are clear, no need for me to create another project. But if you want me to go back, I can delete and start afresh. Should we? This is it. Okay, your problem is the command Django admin, right? So Django admin or Python, all the commands run it to work. If you could remember, during our first assessment, I told you to install Python and Django on your computer, right? Which all of you have done that. So it means that you are not going to have any problem with this. So is there any problem running this command from your computers? How many of you do have running the command? One, two, sorry? Okay. It's giving you issue. So this is what we do. Please, let's save time. Follow my command. Let me trash this out. So I'm creating a project folder called what? This time around, I'm changing it to planner. Okay? So we are going to create our project inside this planner. We are just starting, right? So I'm going to open my terminal. Okay. So I'll cd into desktop, to the project folder, which is called what? Planner. Okay. Then after that, commands. Are we together? Let me tell you something, guys. This process is the simplest method of creating an application with Python and Django. If you are if you want to become in Python, developing many applications, there's something called shell. You'll be able to create one single file that you run it and you have all the file. You have a project created, you have all the packages installed. This is just a fundamentals, a basics. So you have to follow this guideline. You have to follow the fundamentals, right? So excellent. So I'm going to copy this command so that we don't waste time. So paste the command here. Okay. I have a project created called ideas. Listen, you have to differentiate between project and what? Application. Project is what? A bigger picture. While applications are what? Modules under projects. The first day we are having practical, just like this. What is the name of this hall? It has a name, right? So this hall is a project. Inside this hall, you can have podium, you can have air condition, you can have smart board, you can have different people with different names, you can have laptops. So it means when we have one project, we can be able to create different application for different purpose inside. Are we understanding? Like now, we are creating student. After we are done with student inside the ideas, we are going to create another project, maybe called attendance. Still inside the same ideas. After that, we can also decide to create. Still inside the ideas, we can also create another. Right? So get the logic, okay? Inside the project we created, CD, let me call it, it's ideas, right? So the next process is to install virtual EMB, which we all have it installed, right? As a global package, because we install it as a global package. So the next, as long as I have, I'll create a virtual EMB inside my project folder. Inside my what? Project folder. So let me run that command. Virtual EMB, right? EMV. Down here. Created it, right? So the next is to what? To activate. Source emb/bin/activate. See, we have the virtual EMB activated. That's this last command. Are you all together? Good. So after this, The next process in line is to install Django inside the activated EMB. Sorry? No, you don't have, maybe you don't have it set up. Class. Yeah, Windows command is different from Mac. This is Mac. Excellent. So the next one, can you tell me the Windows command? This is Mac. This is for Mac, right? So tell us for Windows. So this could be operating system, but like I've said, listen guys, like I've said last time, one of the key as a developer is to solve problem on your own, right? If you try this command is not working, try another command. Do you understand? Do a research, find more command that work for your system. Bash. Okay. After we have activated the EMB, the next command in line is to what? Install Django. Pip install Django, right? Is to create the application. Python manage.py start up and our this command. We are running this command. Okay? Are we together all? Okay. So I have a complete project and one application. One project and one application inside. Are we good? So the next part is to run this command. Number one is to make a migration. What make migration does? What is the use of make migration? To create database structure, right? What about migrate? The make migration, it brings all the structure, the default structure of Django, right? Tables, permission, and others. While when you run make migration, the tables will be created in your SQLite database. Are we together? So let us run these two commands. But before then, I think we need to open the project using our IDEs. So if you have BS Code, open with BS Code. If you have any IDE, whether PyCharm, whether Atom, even Notepad or Notepad++, anyone would work. It's just for you to see the code, be able to work around your project, right? So I'm going to open my PyCharm. Okay, so I have some projects. Let me close all my projects. Close. Or just open, okay? Open. Get your desktop, and we have a project called Planner. Okay, so this is my project called what? Planner. But the main project I'm going to open, hello, are we together? I'm going to open the ideas, okay? Ideas. So I'm going to use a different window because I have other projects open. So it's loading the project. Now maybe you may have a challenge because we are using terminals or we are using command prompt. Maybe after you open here, you need to what? Activate the EMB, but check to see if your EMB is activated or not. Okay? So this is it. This is my project structure. Let me go to the terminals and find out. So you see my EMB is not activated. So I need to activate my EMB, right? So let me activate the EMB, source, EMB, to do what? No, it's from here. Look at the terminal. It's supposed to see the EMB at the beginning. You understand? So if it's not there, it means your EMB has not been activated. But even if it's activated, to be sure it's working, just run the command, right? So source EMB bin activate and hit enter, and here I have my EMB activated. Are we together? So now look at it. Look at our project structure. We have ideas as a project. Then we have student as an application. Are we together? Ideas as a project, student as an application. These commands that you are going, make migration and migrate. Let me show you something here. Look at it. You see, we don't have anything in this folder called migration. Are we together? But look at it. After we have run the first command, which is Python manage.py make migrations, okay? Python manage.py make migration, I mean this command. This is what is going to happen, okay? So there's no any changes detected, right? So, but when you run the second command, Python manage.py migrate, open the folder, something is wrong here, let me see. It's supposed to create the migration. Okay, so anyways, there's no problem because Pythons are upgrading every day. Before, when you run this command, it will show the statement, create tables. You are going to start database by next week. So if you start database, you understand those commands. Now, Python and Django is handling the database statement for us, creating SQL statement, create tables, create database. It's all handled by Python, right? So after running this command, like we did last week, we need to create what? A super admin, right? What is the use of super admin? To enable you to have a login access to the dashboard, right? Where you can be able to add more users. Maybe if we create student, we want to be able to uh, add student data. So you need to have a super admin that you can use it to log in into the system. Let us run the command. Create admin. Let me clear my Python manage.py. Create super user. Yes. Sorry? Yes. No. The project will create the migration folder by itself. So it depends on the version of Python you have. Well, like I've said, don't worry yourself about it. It's something that is created by Django itself. So if it's not created, don't worry yourself. Okay? So username is going to be admin. Emails, let me see, admin@admin.com. Passwords, let me see, admin also. Confirm your password. So when you have this, I have a weak password, so I have to press yes. So I have a weak password, so I have a complete admin user that I can be able to log into the dashboard. So the next command is to run the server to make sure that it's working, and we can be able to log into the uh, Django admin. That's the project dashboard. Like I keep on saying, Django has a lot of support for you. Permissions is created automatically. Logins, processes are done by Python and Django, right? So you don't have to worry yourself about that. Altogether, are we understanding? Excellent. So the next command is run the server and see if our project is running or not. So Python manage.py run server, right? So we have the application running on this IP address. Let me open it. So this is our application, but this is not our problem. So as part of what we are going to do today is to change this page, to put all our pages, right? But I only created one page, so the remaining one you can go and do it by yourself. So for us to be able to log into the admin, we have to do /admin. Okay, /what? Admin. So I've created a username called admin, and the password is admin. So let me log in. So here we are. So we have only one application. Now listen and listen carefully. It means by default, Python will create one application for you, which is what? Authentication and authorizations. Authentication meaning what? To log in, to get access into the system. Authorizations, it means you have a permission to view this, you have a permission to view this. So with this default application that are created by Python, it means we can be able to add more users in this system. We can be able to add group. These groups determines or define what a user can do and what he cannot do. Are we all together? So let's view the users and see how many users we have. You see, we only have one user. So we want to create our own application like this. Are we together? Excellent. So when you get back to the documentation, the next, as long as we have application, is to create something called a model. What is a model? Model, it is the structure of that application you are creating. When you say a model, it means the structure of the application you are creating. We want to create student application, whereby we want to collect student name, student ID, student phone number, as well as their email address. So these are part of the models. 8. Yes. I didn't understand your question. Oh, yes, you work with the existing data they have. So we are creating this model. Okay, so let's go back. When you get back to the IDE, we have this application. Don't forget, we have two applications. One created by Django itself, the second one created by us. which is called student. So we want to add a model. What is a model? I've said what? A structure of how you want to collect a data based on application you created. A structure. Like I want to collect your emails, your names, and all that. It's just like you creating an Excel sheet, right? You can have one Excel book, and inside the Excels, you can have many sheets. You can have one for salary, you can have one for staff, you can have another one for leave. Altogether, so similarly, when you say model, it is something like that. So by default, you have this file created model.py. Model.what? Py. So open that model.py, get back to your documentation, right? I have shared this with you all. This is the documentation, so I don't want us to waste time. Copy what is in the documentation and completely replace it with whatever is here. So let me explain. So what we are doing here is we want to create something like this. Let me go back home. We want to have an application called student, and also under the student, we want to have student. That means a record or a system that will take student data. Are we together? So to do that, you have to create a class. Thank God I have given you the documentation. That is what I said you won't be able to do this very well if you are unable to finish the documentation or go through the documentation I shared with you for W3C, right? On Python and Django. Are we together? So what we are doing here is we are creating a class. What is a class? If you have studied the content, you have studied the documentation, what do you understand by a class? It's a blueprint, right? So when you say something is a blueprint, here can be what? A class. Just like the example I gave for an application. Here is what? A class that has a lot of properties inside, or a lot of objects. We have tables, we have podium. But all these do have what? Their functionality. So we are creating a class called student, and as part of student behavior, it means student must have a name, right? Student must have an ID. Student must have a course that you are running. Student also must have an email in a very good university or very good school. Student will have a phone number. So let me explain this. In Django, for you to be able to create something like this, let me say add, for you to be able to create a field, automatically generated field like this, you need to pass through this process. It means if I want to collect a student ID, that ID must fall, please stop making noise. That student ID must have what? A data type. What type of data is student ID? Is this a number? It's a character, right? Student ID is a combination of number, special characters, as well as what? Alphabet. So it means when you come to Django and you want to create a particular field that will take student ID, followed by this equal to sign, and then call this model. This model is an inbuilt uh, class or inbuilt library, so you don't have to worry yourself about it. So you have to call this model. As soon as you call models and you type in dot, using maybe PyCharm, even BS Code should have this. You have list of what? List of data type, right? You have character field, you have email, you have some. You can even scroll down to see more. You see different type of data type, date fields, date and time, decimal, duration, empty. So different types of what? Data type. So, but this data type is what? It's a character field. Are we together? Excellent. So what is this maximal length? Now this maximal length, it determines that these are the number of characters allowed to enter in this field. You imagine sometimes filling a form online, they tell you that you have the characters, it cannot accommodate more. So in Django, for you to be able to restrict number of characters that can be typed into a particular field, you have to put this maximum length. So the maximum length is from what? 1 to what? To 255. From what? A character field is from 1 to 255. Are we together? So, but we just want to accommodate, let's say 50. 50 is okay. You can say 50. But if 50 is too small, you can make it 100 so that you don't restrict some people with very long name that has 4 names. So you can make it 100. Maybe you can ask me these questions. Why can't I make 250 at the same time? You can make it, you can decide to make it 255. You can make it 200. But why are we restricting the field? Because of what? We want to manage our storage. When you develop an application and you're hosting it on the cloud, it means you are paying for some certain storage. So if you allow your customers to put anyhow data, your storage will be filled up and you have to pay more. You understand? But when you apply these techniques, you should be able to determine number of or particular data that will be collected from your customers. And with that, you can have a very good system that you can manage a little storage. Are we together? I hope you are not lost. All of you? Are you lost? I'm asking questions. Do you have the documentation? Please, if you have the documentation, so you should copy and paste it, then I'll do the explanation. So what's your own problem? What's the confusion? Okay, you're not clear with the explanation. Let me do this. Let me go down. Let's say in this, don't forget we are inside the application we created called student, right? Inside this student, like I've said, we can create many behavior for the student. Student can have what? Names, can have email, right? Can have all that. So what we are doing here is, let me replicate what I have down. What we are doing here is, okay, we are creating a class. Would somebody say a class is what? A blueprint. A blueprint, many objects inside of it. Now, part of what a class can do here for us is to create a kind of model that we can collect different student information, such as email, telephone number, address, as well as many more informations altogether. So what we did here was that, okay, let's create this class and collect this information. That is why I asked you if you have gone through the documentation that I've shared with you on Python. If you have done that, you won't have this problem around class. That is why I say we don't have time to start explaining class, explaining method, explaining that. That is why the documentation is given to you to go and study, right? Are we good? So unless you want us to like a kind of do this from scratch, not copy and paste and then do the explanation. But we don't have the time. Sorry? This is easier. You have the documentation, copy the file and paste it. Then I'll do the explanation. But if you want us to go together, fine. So let's do this. Let's do this. Are you with me? You said we should do it manually, right? Type it from scratch. So let me do something quickly. Let's say under the student application, we are going to create, what are we going to create? Attendance that will have student ID and date. Student ID and what? Date. So let's create that. Leave this student. Let's create another class that will capture student attendance, right? So let's do it together. Are we together? Excellent. So type in a class. When you type a class, you have to give the class name. Always class name start with what? Capital letter, right? So let me call it attendance. Open bracket. Inside this bracket, like I've said, you have to call this model. These models is the keyword in Python and Django that will help you to what? To attach your project to an existing framework that is developed by Django. Like I've said, Django is one of the framework. We have plugs. If you don't want to use any framework, you can develop your complete application using pure Python. But Django is a library that what helps us to fast-track how we write code. So these are the part of it. Calling models will help us what? And leverage open the existing code that has been written in order for you to create what? To create a field, to create where you can put names, to write all the argument. If the name is this, if that, it will all be handled by what? By the Django framework. All together, so we are going to type in model here. Model.models, okay? All together. So when you do model.model, what does this mean? Model.models, you are be able to create a models. So after that, right, you have to end the statement. You are creating a class for you to be able to move more code under the class because this is just a class, right? This is a class. You have to end it. So after you end it, you type in enter. When you type in enter, look at something here. There is an automatic indentation. In Python, if you mistakenly comes back, you it. Let's say I want to create a model called student ID. Student ID equal to model dot, then maybe the maximum length is going to be 10. And I want it to be unique. And I'm just trying to do something quick so that you understand that it is going to give an error. Look at it. This is an error. So that means that indentation. What is indentation? You all know indentation, right? To give a space. So the indentation, whenever you are creating a class, when you hit enter, automatically to do the indentation for you. So let's create. So let's say student ID. Okay. Student ID is our undefined field. Just like example I'm giving you on Excel. You want to have an Excel sheet that will text name and other fields. So this is our undefined field, and we want to define what type of data will be on that field. So when you type in model dot, models dot, you now determine the type of data you are collecting in these fields. So what type of data is this? Character fields. What is going to be here is what? Is a character field. After that, open bracket. When you open bracket, you have to determine the length. But guys, you can leave it blank, but the best practice is for you to determine numbers of characters that can be entered in that particular field, right? So max underscore length is going to be, let me see, 100. So why do we use unique? Unique is that in that record we are collecting, we don't want to have multiple entry with the same ID. Are we together? So that is why we call this, we use these keywords, right? Unique. So the unique helps us to what? To restrict the fields that, okay, you must have this. These fields you cannot submit without having to enter this particular data, right? That means it's a unique field that you can't leave it empty. So unique true. If you make it false, it means the field can be submitted without any data. You can decide to change it, right? So it means what I have done already is to save our time not to go through all this. Just for me to explain, because what is the difference between this typing manually and then going through here and explaining it? Do you understand? 1 hour. And for you to develop an application like this within an hour, it will take a lot of your time. And so there's no difference. We can continue doing all that. We can do for another field, which is what? Date. So date model dot, what is the data types of date? You can have date only, you can have date and time. That's the date and the time you are collecting that information. So you can use date field, you can use date and time. But always for attendance, you need to have the time, right? So you can use date and time fields. After that, you can close the bracket. Like I've said, this one is what? Optional. So we don't have time to waste on this. Unless, like I've mentioned earlier, after this class, your assignment is to go and create another application and create models under it. So if you can be able to understand my explanation on this, you should be able to develop your own model. You should be able to develop your application and add a lot of models under it. Now listen, it means under one application, you can have many models. You can have as many models as you want. So getting to this will tell us that this is a character field, it is a character field, this is an email field. So when you say this email field, it means when you try to type in any things apart from email, it won't allow you. Maybe you try to type in number, or you try to type in just your name, it will tell you that no, it's not valid. You have to make it what? Email. Okay? So also phone number, we can decide to collect only number. Only 9, maybe 11 digits, right? We can decide to take 11 digits. We can decide to take a phone number with what? Country code. So in that sense, if you are collecting with a country code, you have to make it a character field. But if it's just a number, you can go and change the data type to what? To a number data type. But let's leave it with what? A character. Are we together? Now this is the last part. What is the use of this? This is called a method. Under a class, you can have as many methods as you want. So what this class, let me show you something very important in Python. Whenever you have an IDE like PyCharm and VS Code and you want to understand more explanation about a particular code you've written, what you need to do is to point the cursor on top of that particular class or particular method. More especially methods that are inbuilt, methods that have been developed by a framework, not the one you are creating by yourself. You can have more explanation about it. Do you understand? So what this does for us is, I'm going to show you this. I will comment it out, right? After I have commented it out, We go back to the dashboard and you see the importance of it. But first of all, I want you to understand this. Whenever you create a model, at the end of your models, you need to what? You need to have one particular field. You need to have one particular field that will serve as a list. Look at it. You see, we have username here, we have email, we have first name, last name, and what? Status. So the field that will show first is what? The username. So in our own context, it is the name of the student that will show as a list. So that means when we finish developing this and we go back to the dashboard, when you add names, you only be seeing Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. But if you don't have this, it is not going to show it. Please remind me if I forget after we have finished developing this, so that we can see the difference between ending the class with a string method and ending the class without a string method, okay? So after this, I think I forgot to explain this. Now look at this. We have a courses, and these courses, we put them inside a list. Also, I will refer you back to your documentation list. So we have list of these courses. We have AI, professional diploma in AI. You have this. So in this list, you have a key, what? The value. So you must have the combination of two, key and value fair, key and value fair. It means what is going to be saved in our database is what? The key. So anytime you are looking for this, it is the key that you make a reference. Are we together? So excellent. So in this note, we created these courses and then merge it down to here. That means you don't have to type it yourself. If you want to give options to your client or to your users to select based on the data you have to create what? You have to create a list. You see the importance of that documentation we are talking about? So now we have created a what? We have created a list and we are attaching the list to this. So what we are saying here is, in these courses, we already have the list. We have a list of courses. That means you cannot come with your own course. You have to select from the list of those we have, right? So, and we use this to what? Merge it and say, okay, it's a choice. You only have what? One selection from the list of those list of courses. Altogether, then after that, that's all about this. If we want, we can quickly create another class without waste of time. We can have more classes. But like this other lady mentioned, I like to be practical mostly. So let's add another class quickly. How many minutes do we have, Idafe? 5 minutes, you see? So we cannot be able to develop a complete application with the time we have, unless we have a documentation that will make a reference to it. But if you want me to extend to 3 hours, we can do it. Excellent. So let's add another class. Let's add the attendance part so that at the end of the day, we'll be able to have two models under student application. So let's do it together. So class attendance, okay, model dot model, okay. So the fields that we need to collect, number one is what? Student ID. Okay, I'm going to type very quick. So student ID is what? A character field. So character, and we want it to be a maximum of, here we determine, let's say 50. So let's do something here. We are not going to make this unique so that we can see the difference between tying your models to impose your user to provide us a data and not tying your model. So let's leave this without what? Equal to false. So it means this one you can submit without providing data in this particular field. Are we understanding? Excellent. So the next field is what? Date, model, dot date and time. So date and time. Well, in date and time, you can be able to provide us a structural view of what you want. But for me, what I want us to do is date and times already the system will determine, right? But we can determine whether it is what? Unique or not. So date and time must always be what? Compulsory. So let's make it unique as what? True. What do you need after this? In attendance, student ID, uh, student name, right? So let's say student name is equal to model dot should be a character field, right? So in this, let's say the maximum fields should be the maximum length. Let's make it 100, and unique. Let's make it false. Do we make it true? Should we make it true or false? Okay, let's make it true. Okay, then what next? Email. For attendance, we need email. I think let's save time. It's okay like this. So the next part, like I've said, let's try to tying our models with what? A method, that stream method, and what? Leaving our method, our models without having a stream method. So let's leave it like this. So this one have this, while this one is empty. So let's go like this. Do you want us to add more? Is it okay? Okay, excellent. So after this, that's not all. We need to be able to register this model. When I say register this model, it means here, look at it. We have this application registered here. So we need to also register our student application, but we are not yet done. We have something called admin.py. This admin.py will be the one to list those models under here. Are we understanding? Let me show you. We have admin.py. So admin.py is where we add these our model that we created here. If you didn't add them, you still have them in your application, but you won't be able to see them on the list here. Are we together? So let's try the two. Let's register one and leave the one blank so that we can see the importance of what? Adding our application, our models under the admin.py. Yes, please. Somebody answer, please. What the aim of not returning anything? Excellent. So the essence of returning them is when you go to the dashboard, all the data you added based on what you are returning. If you return emails, you see list of emails. If you return name, you see list of name. But if you didn't return anything, you just see objects. So I just want to see the difference between the two. Okay? So excellent. So with these, to register a model, we have many methods. We have many ways of doing it. But based on my documentation, one particular method of how you can be able to register your model. I think I didn't even add it. It's not part of this. But to register the models, what you need to do first, okay? Already, Django has this for you. By default, these automatically come with all the what? Was import admin. So the next thing you need to do is to import the classes. That's import these, import student, import attendance. What do you call this in programming? You are importing another class into another class. If you read the documentation, tell me. Eh? Polymorphism? What do you call it? Hello? You have a class, I'm talking. Hello? You have a class and you want to call the member of that class in another class. Inheritance, somebody say inheritance. Is this inheritance polymorphism or what? Somebody guess again. So what we are doing now is we are what? Taking those classes or taking those code we've written in another class and transferring it to this one. Are we together? So to do that, uh, what you need to do first is to import the classes. So from, look at this statement, dot. Why I use dot is because I want to I want to import all. Dot what? Model. Okay. From dot models import number one. You see student is showing. Did you see it? Comma. I will import again attendance. Are you seeing it? So what this statement is telling us that, okay, this class or Django, I want you to take those classes. As long as we mention here that we want them to display here, right? We want you to bring them all together here for me to be able to use them and perform another function. Are we together? So after this, it means we have imported them. But what can we do them? I mean, what can we use them to do? What you need to use them for is to bind down two things. First of all, you have to create their name. Second of all, you have to what? To tie them off. Create and what? Tie them up. And that's not all, because what we are doing now is we are registering those models we created there. And after that, we need to do the final part, which is what? Importing the application. Like we said, in one project, you can create as many applications as possible. Likewise, in one models, you can add as many models as you want. You see how the thing is flexible? That means when you are developing an application, you have to put it in mind that this my application is going to be what? Flexible. It is going to be robust in the future. It can accept changes. Are we together? So what we need to do next is to add the command that would bind down our registration. So it means we have to call this that we haven't used here. You see it? Admin. Are we together? This admin, like I've said always, if you want to learn more about particular inbuilt command or inbuilt library, point your cursor on it, and then you can be able to see the documentation. So if I click here, I should be able to go out of my browser to learn about what is that. You see, this is what I did. I want to know more about this admin. When you point it, it will give you this. You click, it brings you here. You can read documentation. Like I've said, 80% of code written by developers is what? Copy and paste. But what is there is what? Your idea. Is this your idea? Yeah, it's our idea to what? To create a planner where we can collect student information, but the code has been written before by others. Maybe you can bring your own. So look at the documentation. Do you see it? This is what the documentation. So any one of it you want to have documentation, point your cursor on it, and you should be able to have documentation. Sorry? It's not working on BS? That means you need to install PyCharm. So please install PyCharm if you don't have it, so that you can be able to have more support like this other one. So when you do this, what we are doing is, okay, we want to register this. And even if you don't know, like I've mentioned, you have documentation that can help you. So after you've done Python, admin dot site dot what? Register. I hope I'm not. Register admin site dot register. I will call this name here. I may wish to what? Add it in a different line of code, but I will add it all by what? Separating them with comma. Do you see it? Are we together? So let us explain what is the use of this. Admin.site.register. What this one is doing is telling us that, okay, Python, what I want you to do is those classes I've created, inherit them, bring them here, right? When you bring them here, I want them to be available in my Django admin. That is why we have what? Admin. Admin.site.register, student, attendance. We only have two. So if you have more, you have to also follow the same process. You understand? So that means this one has not been added on our documentation. So those online may have difficulties. So let me paste it there so that they can be able to see it. I thought this is not complete. So where? Okay, after here, right? After we created the model, then the next is to what? Register models in admin.py. Okay, so we have added for those that are online. So you need to add those classes you've added. So after that, we need to add this also. I think that's not all. There is one more things we need to do, which is creating a class. What is the use of this class? So create class, right? So let's call it, let me call it student admin, okay? I hope you are seeing. What this one is doing for us, what this is doing for us is what? Let me pass so that I can do explanation. What this is doing for us is saying that, okay, when you come to the admin dashboard here, we want to be able to have this. If this has not been added here, it won't show. If you are not going to add this class, it is not going to show here. Is my battery about to die? Battery. As well. Can we try another pot? Okay, excellent. Thank you. So are we together? So it means we have to do that. We have to add it, but we may decide not to add anything here. In Python, when you type in pass, it means you don't want to add anything because this is a class. So a class must have what? An object under it. So whenever you don't want to pass anything under your class, you can put pass. Pass is just like, I don't want anything. Are we good? So, but we want to be able to search. You can have thousands of names, right? Thousands of names, and you just want to be able to search. So for you to be able to search, under here you can be able to add searching, sorting, and a lot of things. All those things you've been seeing on website. More especially when you work in the bank, you work you work with HR system, you work with a lot of applications that have to do with managing people data. You find out all those details. Sorting, right? You can be able to sort, you can be able to, all that. So in Python, in Django, we are going to do that under here. Guys, listen carefully. I mentioned this many times. Listen, I mentioned this. What I'm teaching you is just basics. After the class, you can explore more things. Go on your own, read documentation. I believe the other day we had discussed about many mediums where you can be able to get support, where you can be able to uh, uplift your understanding of a particular problem, right? So go to forums, read documentation. You should be able to have more clearer explanation on how you can handle issues. Are we together? So here we want to search. So if you are searching, we have a lot of things that we can add. If you want to search, if you want to list, if you want to be able to provide with some certain guideline, you can be able to do it. So like I've said, always you can refer to your documentation to have more of it. So let's do this. Within the Python is tough. Let me go back. Within the models that you have, if you are using PyCharm, if you click Control on your keyboard and you want to see more about what you can do with that particular things, press Control. Are you together? Press Control on your keyboard. Shift. My Mac is Command, so I don't know on Windows is what? Control. So on Mac is Command, while on Windows is Control. So press Control and click. We can be able to list and we can be able to list out only fields. You can be able to do a lot. And this is just few of them. Are we together? And also you can be able to have action, you can be able to have display. I'm just showing you the trick, how you can be able to explore more options. Are we together? So any of these inbuilt classes or methods, inbuilt classes or methods can be able to go through and get more detail. It's just like now, I have student. If I click on student, look at it. If I click on student, it will bring us here because we created it ourselves. So if you want to see what that library have to offer you, you have to what? Hold a control on your keyboard, and when you click, you should be able to see more options, more of it. I hope I'm giving you good trick. Are we good? Is this PyCharm? Who's using PyCharm? What version? Enterprise or community? Yes, you should be able to use community and do. You should be able to use community and do that. Control and click. You should be able to have it. Who is having PyCharm here apart from her? Are you having the same things? Excellent. So his one is working. Yeah, his one is working. So this is what we are doing. This is what I want us to see. Look at it. Like here, like I've told you, when you press Control, you click on that particular field, you should be able to have more details. If you cannot have it, go back to the documentation and then you should be able to walk yourself around. You understand? So excellent. Let me switch back to my projects. Close this. Close this. Get back to the admin. So here, we are going to add what we want. Do we want to search? If we don't want to search, we can just type in pass. And that's all. We are done with this one. We are done. So after this, the next is to register the application. Can you tell me what we have done now? What did we do now? We register the models. The next process is to register the application. Excellent. So under your project, our project is called ideas. So we have a file called settings.py. Can you see it? Settings.py. Hello, some people are sleeping. Settings.py, do you see it? So when you double click on settings.py, you see a lot of settings, but don't get confused. What we need to do, if you want to register your application here, look at it here. You see install app. Let me go back under your application, under the projects, all together. When you double click on the settings, you will see what is this. Is this a dictionary or a tuples? What is this? What is this? Is this a list? So you see, that's what we are saying. You have to learn, go back to that documentation. Go back to the documentation. So we have a list that what has all our applications that are installed. Look at it. This is admin application that has been developed by Django automatically. We have authentication. We have session, whereby when you are using the application, maybe you are out of your keyboard for like an hour, it will just sign you out. So all this has been handled by Python and Django. You understand? So now we want to add our own. So to add your own, we click enter, put a single quote, and then call the class name, the application name, which is called what? Student. So student. That's all. So this application has been installed. So maybe let me put a comment here. Let me see user custom apps. Right? So this one is system. Let me comment also. System app, user app. Are we good? Very good. Okay. So after this one, we are good. We go and run migration. We run Python managers make migration and migrate. We should be able to see this application added under our project. But let's go back to the documentation to see if there are things we are missing. Let me see. Nothing. Maybe this part, but I think you can go and do it on your own, or maybe in the next class, because we don't have enough time. So after this, we have the application. That we have this student added here. So the next, attendance is under student. Listen, attendance and student are what? Models under student application. Do you get it? Do you understand? Yes. So let me wrap it up. We have a bigger component called what? Called ideas, our project. Now under the ideas, we created an application called what? Student. Now under the student, we created models, right? So in a simple terms, those models are called tables. I will show you. Those models are called what? Tables. So let's do migration. See if we are okay. I think we are having error. Let me go back to here. So we have error. I made a mistake here. This is a code I've written before. After admin, we need to put models admin, right? So I'm having error here. Look at the error I'm having. Take note of most two arguments. That means the method received two arguments, but I supply one. So we need to go back to the admin here. Models admin. Excellent. So the error should go. Attendance object has no attribute models. Let's go back and see. Okay, so we made a mistake here. Let's see where we're having issue. So this is what we are talking about. We have attendance, but it doesn't have attribute models. So let's find out where that mistake is from. Models. Let me comment something here because I think it's the date column. So maybe the application wants us to return something, right? So let's do this. Let's return str self. Let me pass. Still having error, right? Don't worry, we'll sort it out. Models.model student ID. Okay, let me do this. We are not returning anything, but it's no complaint of returning. Return self dot student name, and let's see. So what do we do when you have issues like this? How do you troubleshoot? Is this debug? Do you call it troubleshooting or debugging? What is the correct name? Is it debugging or troubleshooting? Not troubleshoot. So we need to troubleshoot and find out what is the issue. So let's go back. This is where the error is coming from. It's coming from models. That's admin.site.register. So, but let me see this. If that could be the problem. So it means maybe the system wants us to register every models separately. Or there's a mistake. Maybe none of you have detected this. Me, I have seen it. We only created students for attendance. That's the complaint. So that means we have to do that. Class attendance admin in bracket admin dot model admin. So we should be able to have things working now. So that means we can go back to our code and uncomment these. And also, you see, still. Okay, let me still comment it. Admin, let's see. Attendance, model. So we have an error. That means there's a problem here. But I have an existing code I've written before coming. So I think everything is okay. Everything is okay. All right, all right. Who can tell me the error? Maybe this is the first time, but based on the code, we can find out that this is the mistake. You see, the mistake here is we have a model. Instead of us to register this, which take two arguments, student will now take this one. That means when you are registering, you have to take the model's name and the class you created. You understand? Model's names and the class you created. Are we good? So the next one also, we need to do it. This is attendance, right? Then this one, address. So issue picks. So this is the error. The error is coming from here. It means every class or every model created will have to what? We have to create a class that will bind it to the model admin, and also we have to register it separately on the admin dashboard. Are we together? So let's stop the server and then run migration and see. Clear Python, please run it. Python, uh, Python manage.py run, that's make migration. First, you have to run what? Make migration. After you have created a models, are we together? After you have created a model and you register it on the admin, you have registered it on the settle.py, you have to run Python. Can you see? Created a model attendance, created a model student. So will generate. Okay, it's not generating. Okay, you see, this is what I was talking to you about. Did you see this? Hello, I make migrations. When you come back under this, it has created 01 underscore initial.py. So when you open that, you see that it's a what? It's entirely a code that we haven't written ourselves. It's a code generated by Python for creating the database tables. Are we together? So excellent. So I will go back. After make migrations, we need to run migrate again. Python manage.py migrate. Enter. Done. So let us run the server and find out all these noise we've been making, do this, do that, so that we can see what we're doing. So let me run Python manage.py run server, right? Am I correct? Hit enter. Let's go back and refresh our application. What do we have? You see, we have student. Under student, we have attendance and we have student. Do you see it? So let me show you what we discuss here. We discuss about this, that if you are not returning, you just check. But when you return, you see the list of items you've added. So let us add data. Let's first of all add attendance. Okay, let's add student. So student name, let me put my name. Okay, student ID. What's your ID? Tell me your ID. IDS. Let me just put any number. Your name. Muhammad Abu Bakar. So you see what we are talking about? The list is restricting you to type in anything here. You have to select from the list of these that we created here. Do you understand? So that means you must make a selection from this. Are we together? So you cannot select anything or you cannot type it. You have to select from the drop-down list. Okay? So I'm going to select artificial intelligence, my emails. Let me put anything like this. Phone number. Phone number, do we make it unique? Also, let's discuss about this uniqueness. We say student ID must be unique. So let's remove the student ID and see if we can submit the form. What's unique again? Email address. So let's make a submission. Save and add another one. Did you see? Did you see what happened? It means we cannot be able to continue up until those fields that are compulsory are entered. Do you understand? So it means we have to add the ID, we have to add the emails. We can even, but guys, maybe I want to make this not unique. If I want to make it not unique, I have to stop the server, make the changes, make migration, and migrate. will affect here. You want us to do it? Should we? Okay, excellent. So we want to change the phone number to be what? Optional. So to do that, let's stop our server. To stop our server, control what? Control C to stop the server. Excellent. So I want to change this to what? So unique to false, right? So to do that, I said you have to run what? Sorry. Python manage.py make migration. Look at what is going to turn. Sorry, I made a mistake. So you see, no changes detected. So let's see Python manage.py migrate. Maybe I didn't save it. Okay, let me do it again. Make migration, migrate. So that means this doesn't need change because we have defined the fields. But mostly, whenever you added any of these, you need to run migration and migrate before the changes will affect. Will be reflected on the application. Like I've said, every day these companies or these frameworks and programming languages are making more update. That means I don't even have to run it, right? So let me run my server back. .py run server. Okay. So let's try and see. So still it's not working. So that means the key, listen guys, that means the key to restrict a field to be empty is no more that unique. So how do you know? How do you know to make a field optional? Okay, let me refresh as you mentioned. Student ID, name, email, phone number. So that means, look at this. We have a challenge. We want to add a feature that we don't know. Let's assume that we don't know. Hello? Are you with me? Let's assume that we don't know how to make a field optionals in Django. So how do you do it? How do you find out? Research, right? So always your keywords should be very what? Very precise. Do I like this browser? No. Let me go back to this. Make fields in Django optional. Or let me say model, right? So always we move to Stack Overflow. That's our first word. So you see, so if we want to make it optional is what? Null. Null true and blank true. Guys, learn this. This is programming. You don't know, you research and implement. So let's go back and do it. So here, I think it's phone number, right? So null, true, and what? Blank, true. Similarly, you have to stop the server, Python manage.py make migration, and what? Migrate. Python manage.py make migrations. So you see, it's telling us that we have altered a field. The alteration we did was to add this null and blank. After that, also you need to run what? Migrate. Always manage.py. If you make any changes, run manage.py and run what? Make migration and then migrate. So Python manage.py migrate. Hit enter. You see we have applied the changes. If you also go back to your migration, you see we have another migration. Do you see it? It has created another migration file. Now, what is the use of this? This is a history. You keep history of what you've been doing. If you want to revert back to what you've done, you can come back and do it. You delete the migration, run manage.py make migration, and it will revert. But this is advanced. Maybe on your own you can exploit. So let's run the server. Python manage.py, run server, and find out what we've added. So here is our application. Let us refresh. Are we together? ID, name, course, as well as email. This one blank. Save. It has gone. So you see? So like I keep on saying, you have to have that skill of making research. You have to have the patience. Sometimes you can spend hours trying to fix one problem, but the problem is from you. So put more time and effort, you should be able to learn a lot. So now let's go back to attendance. Or let's add more records. Let me add my record. Okay. Emails. This time around, let me put a phone number. Save and continue. So you see, do you see that uniqueness? It's telling us that somebody among our user has what? That email address. Do we write any function to handle this for us? Did you write any class or function? That means the Django framework is handling it for us. As long as we said, okay, this is unique. If we change it to unique false, it means you can have. Are we understanding? Excellent. So I have to change the email to something, then save, we'll have record. So look at it. If I click on student, what do I have? I have 2 students. As well, if I want to edit any of the students, I can click on it and edit. You see? Save and continue. When I go back to the list, I should be able to have the things changed. Do you write any function to do updates? So this is how the Django the Django framework work. But like I've said, in a bigger project, in a larger project, you do this dashboard separately by yourself. But what that dashboard you created will do, this one will also do it. But when we say bigger project, like a bigger enterprise resource planner for university, a bigger project for a bank, you have to do it. But this one is even more perfect than that one. But you know how project is. This one will say this one will say that. But Python and Django, when you combine them together, you have a very strong and unique application. Now, let's get to the last part, which is what? We talked about this. Look at it. We talked about this, about returning, right? Do you talk about this? Returning of something. So let's go back to the data, this here, and add attendance. You see in attendance, we don't have anything, right? So let me add attendance. You see, that date and time field we've added. So let me say my student ID is ideas 001. The dates, let me click on the calendar and select the date. Okay, the time also, I can select, maybe let me select noon. It will take it. You can also type it manually. If I want it to be 1500 hours or 16, I can type it manually by myself. Okay, the student ID, student name, and save. Excellent. So look at this. Look at what is going to happen. If I click on attendance, what do you have? What do you have? Attendance object 1. If I also go back to attendance and add more data, let me say the next student is 2, and I added the dates, I added 6 p.m., I added the student name, Mr. A, and save. If I click back on attendance, what I will keep on having is attendance object 1, attendance object 2, this, that. But for me to see what I want, I have to come back here and what? Uncomment this return, because you are the one that asked this question. So that's why I want you to be seeing the differences. So if I save this, right, and stop my server, always you have to stop your server. Python manage.py make migration, right? Then Python manage.py migrate. Then start your server. Python, right? Manage.py run server. So if I refresh this, what do I have? I have the names. If I want to change it back to something, maybe I want to change it back to student ID, I can copy, or I can say student ID. I'm returning student ID. And if I refresh, I'll have the student ID. Now, the last part I want us to do for today's class is search. We don't have the search function. We don't have the search function. But if you go back to users, you can see we have where to search for user, right? You can see where you can be able to filter out. So we don't have all this. How do we add it for our models? We want to add it for student, we want to add it for this, for that. How do we do it? To do it, I think I've already shown you this. We are adding a search field under our admin.py, and then you can select only one field and you can make it all the fields. So that means we have to go back to our project and add these search fields. So look at it. This is our admin.py. You see here, the search, we just passing what? Pass. It means we don't need anything. But this time around, we are going to type in what? Search fields. Do you see it? Then, what do you call this? We are creating a list of the search fields we want. So I want to search everything, all. If I save this, right, and I go back to student, I should have a search field. Do you see it? I save it, but if I go back to attendance, I don't have any search. But if I go back to student, I have search. So let's add for what? For attendance. So search field, all, sorry, this is what? A list. If we save it and we refresh our page under attendance, and we have it all. So let's say I want to search for Al-Hassan Abdul Muttalib. Al-Hassan Abdul Muttalib. Okay, when you click on search, we have issue. Cannot resolve keyword into the field choice, cause email, blah, 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 blah. So this is also another challenge. If you are watching any tutorials online, you are learning any coding and you are not seeing this, this is how coding is. You write it and you have an issue, you solve it. You write it, you have an issue, you solve it. That's how programming works. Nobody will ever write 100 lines of code, 50, 10, without having to debug. Do we understand? So that means we want to solve this problem. We want to search, but at the end of the day, what we are having here, what we can search is what? We have email number. So for this reason, we already have what we use for the search. Copy this. I think let's end it like this. So you can our score. Do you want us to continue? Should I stop? Do we resolve this error? Do we address this error or we call it for a day? We should resolve it. This is the code for searching. Are we good? Maybe we have to look at the code before we can be able to know. We're all debugging here, right? So copy it, search on the internet. You have the idea before on how you solve it, then you can just go ahead and apply the. So you should have to solve it. Yes, please. Database. Excellent. So let me the database. I've told you that all the models we created are what? Database. They are in a tables. Look at it. We've created two models, student, right, and attendance. In PyCharm, we have a type here called database. Do you understand? We have a tab called database. So if you want to be seeing the database tables, you click here and then click on this plus icon. When you do that, select data source. Are we together? Move down. We have different type of database: Microsoft SQLs, IBM, MongoDB, MySQLs, Oracles, SQLite. So, but our own we're using what? SQLite. So click on SQLite. This is it. The system created it by itself. So look at the SQLite here. It is here. It has been stored in our project. So we can give it name. Let's see, ideas database. Ideas database. It. Now, after that, we need to select the location of that, our database file. So you have to browse. Are we together? When you browse inside your ideas project folder, you can see db.sqlite3. Open, and the path will be added. Then we don't have the driver, that's the connection between our database and our application. So if you're using PyCharm, it will ask you to download. You understand? So if you click on download, give it a few seconds, the driver will be what? Downloaded. You see? You can click on test connection to see if it's working or not. So test connection. Why is this taking long? So you see, it shows that we have successfully connected to database. So click on apply. Okay. Give it a few seconds. You should be able to see your database. This is the settings database. For you to see the tables, you need to click on the schemas. These are the two tables we created. Only student attendance and student. All these other ones are created by what? By the system or by Django. So if you want to see the tables, I mean the data inside the tables, look at what I'm going to do. You can either right click and view or just double click. You should have a tab that will open the list of the data you've added. You see it? So I have two options. I can view my data from here, and also I can go to my dashboard and view my data. I can update from here. Let's look at it. Maybe I want to change Mr. Al Hassan on attendance to Mr. John. Okay, Mr. John. When you do that, you have to run a command. Where is it? It has been a while I used this, but I think it's somewhere here. Hit enter. First, hit enter on your keyboard after adding the data. Then the next is to click on this submit. You see it? So when we go back to our database, the dashboard, refresh the page. Under attendance, you should be able to see Mr. John. You see? So I think some of you said we should address that error of searching. Should we, or we should call it for a day? If you agree we should solve it, let me see your hand. That means only few of you want us to solve it. So go on our own and do it, as long as some of you want to go. But I think this is my last class with you. Yeah, this will be my last contact with you. Maybe if I have enough time, I can come around and work with Mr. Hayat. But this is my last contact with you. So if you have any problem, any questions, sorry? So if you are in support of ending the class, let me see your hand. In support. Okay, so let's resolve that error because we have two things to conclude. If you go back to our application, look at it here. If you go back to the application, you find out that it's Django, and I promise us that we are going to change this. So when you check the documentation I share with you, you have a files, download the HTML file. So I'm going to download my own. Are we together? So I will download my HTML files and here. So I'm going to move these out my desktop. Okay. So this is what is inside. If I open it, when you click it will take you to login and then the home page. But this is not at our application. So we want to attach it to our application. So what we need to do, copy these two files, right click and copy. Okay. When you copy, get back to your project. When you get back to your project, we'll have to create a folder called template. We'll have to what? A folder called template. So template. I think it should be there. It should be who else? Template. Yes, I think I'm correct. So I've created a folder called template, and I'm going to right click inside the template and paste in those two those two files, home, and then inside home there is admin.file. Base site.html. What this does is, look at it. We are changing that Django admin to something, whatever we want. We can say it, we are trying so that we can see it. We are trying to change admin view. Let me collapse the database. Admin view. So these two files, this is what these two files does. Just they are purely HTML. Only this one that has what? A Django tag. This one, look at it. Inside, we have base underscore site.html, which has extended. What this does is adding whatever we are doing here with the existing dashboard that is created by Django, right? But what is going to be affected there, or what we can see there, is what we type here. Anything out of here, it will show. So the changes we are making is only around these areas. Are we together? Excellent. So after this, we need to create two things. Let's go back to our documentation. When you get to the documentation, you find out that, where is it? Under my brother. You find out that we have this. Where is it? We have this called view. Can you see it? I said create view.py under student app. Do you see it? Create what? Views.py under student application. So let's go and do that. Let's go under student application, right? We already have the view.py files. So what you need to do is to just copy this one. And what we are doing here, we are creating a method that binds that file that HTML file will upload it to what? To our application. So we can manually type it and we can copy it and paste. But to save time, let's copy it and paste. Are we together? So this is this file here that we are talking about, and here, and we are calling it welcome page, or we can say home page. But anyone, let's say home page. Home page. Are we together? Then the next part is, after we have created that, we need to create, still under the student, we need to create url.py. What is the use of url.py? Now, url.py is what? That URL on browser. You all know URL, right? Website address. So we are to create a configuration for the URL that is going to display in the browser. So we have to go under the student and create url.py. So I'll right click, file, urls.py. All together. Then after that, to save my time, I will copy this url.py. So you all have the documentation, please copy it. So what we are doing now is we are importing that view.py inside our url.py. Look at the statement. From .views import welcome. But our method name is called what? Homepage. Excellent. So I'll go and change this to what? Homepage. Okay, here have to be changed to what? Homepage. Do you understand? Also here, let's change it to what? Homepage. We have created our url.py and view.py, but this will not work. This is within the application. So listen, guys, whatever you are doing, don't forget that you have application and a project. So we need to map it to our project. So our main project do have a default url.py. So go back to ideas, look at it here. We have url.py, open it. We already have the admin that we can use to log in. This is it. When you go back to where we log in, you see, if you want to go for admin, we do what? Admin/admin. So now we want to do what? /homepage. Do you see what we are trying to create? Excellent. So when I go back here, we have to import that particular code. We have to import from the what? From the project, from the application to the what? To the project. So simply to save our time, I already have a code here. I'll copy it and add it inside. Okay, it's going to give us problem, but just copy this. So what we are doing here is we are saying path. That's when you say path, it means the URL location, the URL path. You understand? So it means at any time we run our server, we want the welcome page to show instead of this one. So as long as it is the default page, you don't have to put anything. If you put in home page, it is not going to work. because you have to put home before you can be able to see that. It's just like now, we are in the home page. Crash, okay. We need to include these, we need to import these include. Excellent. What is the use of include? Who can tell me what is the use of include? The use of include is to what? To bring another application, to bring application into your existing project. You understand? So now we have added it. So our project is called student. So let me give it name student, the URLs. So automatically what we are doing is if you click on this, it will take you to our main project. That means these guys now are mapped together. Are we together? Are we understanding? So what I will advise you is after this class, take your time at home and watch the video. Use the documentation. When you have a problem, send me an email. Right? So we have saved this. Let me see if it is going to work. So let me start the server. Home page. So excellent. That means this to tell us that our code is working, but we have few issues to fix. We have what? Few issues to fix. Because we mentioned that for us to be able to see that page, we have to provide with /home. You understand? And we haven't configured to do that. So for us to be able to achieve that, what we need to do is to go back here and guide. That means whenever you come to our application, we want you to come to the home page. So one last tip is to go back to our setting and do the configuration, because if you haven't done that, it is not going to work. How do we do that? I have, under the application, I have settings.py, right? So include the template. We already have a what? A complete dictionary for templates, right? So we need to what? We need to call the template, but that's not all. I think I have the documentation here. I failed to copy it. You see, this is what we are doing there. We are putting this line directory, which is up here. So I am going to provide you with these codes. Let me add it for you there. Let's see. So we already have it. We already have it in our own project. So what we need to do is to what? Based on what is here, under template, we are to put in a what? In a dictionary, we are going to type this code. Are we together? Excellent. So let me go back. Save it. And I think we should have everything working well. So why is this not working? Who can tell me? Who can tell me this? No, you cannot do migration here. So because we still have some other configuration that we haven't done. Let me see. Well, the template does not exist, home.html. So let's check and see HTML. Something is wrong somewhere. Let's go back to our code. That's how coding is. You cannot just do it. So that means from here, look at it, we cannot even see it. Can you see it? So that means something is wrong here. We should be able to see the application directly. So that means we made a mistake where when you look at the structure of my existing project that I've done, the template is under the project directory. So let's see our own, what we've done here. So when you check here, the template is also there. So what is the issue? Let's try something. Let's see, student. This should definitely work. So we have an error here. Let's find out. Sorry? URL. Let's see our url.py. Let's follow what you are. So we have everything good here. Views. Views is already there because this map it together. Don't worry, we have a structure here. That is why I've said I have a project that I did before coming to this to serve as a yardstick. So I think everything is okay. Maybe we have just few things that are not in place. Okay. So let me see the settings. Maybe in our settings there is some. Sorry? No, it is not going to work. Is your own working? You put the template and it's working. Okay. Let me follow your procedure. This is view. View. It's not going to work. So this is it, guys. Let's sort it out. Let me look at my code first because I added some, but this shouldn't have anything to do with that. This is the link to the login. Okay. We are debugging together, right? So let's debug and find out what is the issue. Let me see my student. Okay. Okay, let's see a suggestion. I'm seeing a suggestion here. I already have template, but the folder name is not created properly. So let me rename the folder name. Because from what I see, this shouldn't even be there because it should show automatically it's a folder. So are you having the same issue with me? Yeah, all of you. So this is what I'm doing. I'm copying it from the existing project I did, which I can share with you later. Let me paste it and see. Still the same thing. So guys, I think we can debug this. We are not debugging. We are just moving around. So we should copy the error code and be able to search and see what the issue is. The issue is complaining about template does not exist in template underscore name, which means completely the project is not seeing this. Because as you can see, look at it here. Anything highlighted, it means the project cannot be able to see it. So in that case, we have to do research and find out why. So let's copy the error code. As always, when you have an error, so let's see. Let's go down to ticks. So do you see what happened? Put Lucifer, what is this? Inside your settings.py, install apps directory to true. Okay. I'm not okay with this. So what we are going to do, guys, let's do this. I think we have new projects. What we need to have is just what? The home.html that is not working. Instead of us to waste a lot of time, here we have seen a lot of solutions. One of the solution here is to copy this one, according to this guy. This one said we should put Lucifer, right? Are we together? So let's try 1, 2, and if it doesn't work, then we end the class. Maybe I'll find time for us to resolve it. Maybe I can take 30 minutes of Mr. Hyatt's lectures so that we can come and do it. But what I want you to practicalize is when you get back home, try and create the project, add as many applications as possible, explore other things, think of other problems that you want to put it under your project, right? And that is how you can be able to become good in what you are doing. Okay? So I think I'm not even going to use this one. Let's call it up. So in summary, that is how you can be able to create your Django application and be able to add more and more application under it. Any questions apart from this challenge that we're having? Because we've spent almost 2 hours and some minutes. So you see, if only one that is not working. So one of the project is working because we have changed this to ideas dashboard, right? So that means the only challenge we are having is that one of displaying our template. But from the admin, we are able to change that to ideas dashboard. You understand? So our next issue is to address this template, but this one is working perfectly. Let's change it to, let's say, my application dashboard. Dashboard. Okay, so if you refresh it, you should be able to see that. You see? So we are able to achieve this. The next you need to do, we need to do is to fix that error, which I believe is just a minor error, but we don't have the time. Even myself, I'm tired. So ask your question, please. Yeah, go ahead. You said you have a questions. Sorry? How do you have attendance? Yes, the Django automatically add S for you because Django knows that you are adding more objects, more data. So it should be in plural. Any other questions? Yes, we'll address the template issue. We'll address the template issue. What I will even advise you, you can do a HTML or download a template. HTML is easy. HTML, CSS is very easy to learn. So, but this is the most technical part of it, writing the code, debugging, right? So, any other questions? No, I said I'll find time. Maybe before Mr. Hayat starts, I'll take 30 minutes of his time and do that. I just don't want us to waste much time debugging. We haven't applied anything that we've done research on, right? But I believe it's something that we can do it within 10, 15 minutes. But I should let you go. All right, don't forget to take, yes, ask your question. Please go ahead. Tomorrow, online, not physical. Idafe, can you remind me so that I can have extra class for them to address this issue tomorrow? So promise, tomorrow. I don't know the time because I have a lot of. So Idafe will get back to you on the Telegram group on the time. Thank you, guys. Don't forget, keep practicing. Keep practicing. The more you practice, the more you'll be able to do much and much and much better. So let me see you on. 2 hours 9 minutes.